Hello, gay men, and welcome to Coming Inside Out. I am John.
I'm Brian.
And welcome, guys. We're so glad you're here. And ladies and theys and them.
Yes.
Welcome on.
And he's and yes.
Absolutely. So, I heard you did another podcast.
Yes, I did.
What was the name of that podcast? Give it a plug.
Called Late with David.
Out Late with David.
The host is David Cotton.
David
and
Cotton.
He does a podcast, very successful podcast, interviewing men who have come out, their coming out story.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the people on his podcast are all men that were married with kids, but every episode is unique and it's someone telling their coming out story.
So you basically cheated on Coming Inside Out. So Brian is a big whore. And he whored over to that other podcast. And I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yes, I did.
Well, did you?
Yes, I did. And you know, just for the record,
is he better looking than
John
me?
Was also invited to be on his podcast. That will happen at some point in time.
Yes. I am going to register and I'm going to do it. It's just I've been crazy busy.
And we put his podcast, also that episode, on our platform.
Yes. So if you want to listen to that podcast, look, we're all helping each other here.
And David Cotton is a life coach also. Life coach, personal coach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for a coach, I told him I would plug him for any of our listeners that may be looking for a coach.
Well, let's be specific. What kind of life coach is he? You mean just life in general, or is it specific?
You'd have to reach out to David Cotton and ask him. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have led with that, but super nice guy. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, leave it at that. Well, no, I don't want to leave it at that. I want to know what kind of coach he is.
Well, we'll ask him. Hopefully he's... So
I'll ask him when I go on his podcast.
John and I are both doing his podcast, and then we're going to have him on our podcast.
Yeah, we'll have him on.
Yes. So, John, I've been holding something for about a month. John and I don't get a lot of time alone together. And one of our listeners reached out to me and sent us a gift. And I'm going to let you look at it.
Okay.
You know, most of these people are not seeing this. They're listening to it. But this listener reached out and sent us
a gift. Listen, if you want to, you don't have to send gifts, but if you do, I need some new socks. I need socks. Okay, so I've just opened the box, and I tell you what, and I can't see what's inside, but it smells amazing.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
He
didn't send his underwear.
Well, not doing that.
All right, here we go. I'm opening it. Oh, wait.
Let's not read the card.
Oh, it is soap.
He sent us all these really...
You're kidding. How sweet.
He listened to our podcast. He's so appreciative of our podcast. He owns I think he owns like 3 stores. But he sent us a whole box of soaps for us to share.
Do we stink over the podcast? Can you smell us from all the way?
Stink?
Just soap. Thank you. What's his name? Are we using his name?
We're not going to use
X.
his
name. Hey, X.
Yes.
Thank you.
He is in the process of...
So how are we going to do? We're going to split this up?
We're going to take...
Each take 3? How sweet. Wait, there's only 5 in here.
There's 6 in.
There's 4. And this makes...
took 2 out.
No, I took 1 out. What did you? Did you leave one at your house?
Quite about it.
All right, I see. But that's very sweet. And my gosh, that smells so good.
So
yeah.
I want to share that with you.
That's sweet.
We have been getting so much feedback from our listeners. This is amazing. I tell John, I don't know how to track all of this stuff on every platform, but I track it on 3. So we're getting messages on those 3 platforms. We have a ton of letters from men that have written in.
Yeah.
But we've surpassed 6,000 downloads.
Thank you all for that. I mean, we got 6,000 downloads. I think that's good. I have no idea in the podcast world.
bought a little bit of equipment. We plugged it in. We put 2 mics in front of ourselves, and
We started
6,000 times.
6,000. I mean, come on. That's pretty cool.
And this isn't like an OnlyFans page. You know, we're not giving anything out.
I'm not showing anything.
Showing anything.
Which, I mean, I will. I mean, tune in next week when we are shirtless.
Yes.
We're going to be shirtless doing
But we'll be charging for next week's episode.
No, we will not. We will not be
If I'm
charged.
shirtless, I'm charging.
Well, if I'm shirtless, I'm wearing a bra.
Yeah.
My big old hairy titties. And I am. I've been losing some weight, but I'm not losing it. My titties. I got to start. My son says, "Dad, you got to do flies and all." So I got to start working out and strengthening up the chest.
Pecs.
My pecs.
I'm going to tell you a funny, this is a little off topic as we're both grabbing our chest here. My younger son has had a gym membership at Gold's Gym for 4 years. I got it to him.
Are we plugging Gold's right now?
I'm not, because I'm just not. But he left for the Marine Corps. He actually left last month. I've received 2 letters from him. Thank God he's
doing good.
Enjoying himself.
All right, good.
But I went to cancel his membership at Gold's Gym.
Mm-hmm.
Never stepping foot in there before. I go in to cancel it, and they convinced me to.
They sold your ass. They were not going to let him leave.
The membership over to my name. I transferred the membership over to my name. I go to that gym the very first time to work out. Holy crap. Why have I not been going to this fucking gym since the day I came out?
They are hot dudes.
More than half naked men. These are men that are wearing next to nothing.
Oh yeah, well
They have
that's
these
of
most
course.
amazing fucking crazy bodies, and I go in there. There's so much eye candy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's yeah. Well, what about the showers? Did you go in the showers or the steam rooms?
Well, you know, I've heard that people play in there.
I heard that too.
That's not.
I heard.
So
I
have swam there. I have taken a shower there. I've gone in the sauna there, but it's all been clean so far. So
Yeah.
yes.
See, I go to the YMCA, and I got these old fuckers going around. I mean, there's no idea.
With their nuts hanging out.
With their nutsack hanging out and wearing their Depends. So that's what I get to see. Hey, listen, I want to share. I want to jump in here. We got an email from this gentleman.
This guy actually reached out to us through our website, which is still under construction.
Yeah.
But he reached out to that, and I thought, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So he wrote this on. Guys, and ladies and them, I want to share this with you. He said, I was married to my wife for 24 years. We were both 47 when she died. I am now 52. It has been so difficult these last 5 years without my best friend. I found your podcast yesterday. I can so relate, he says. I have felt so alone for so long. My wife died suddenly in 2019 of an embolism. I never told her I am gay. I never told anyone. Now I'm faced with rebuilding my life, even though my wife was my best friend and closest friend. I have no desire to date a woman. She was my one and only. How sweet is that?
You know, I shared that in my podcast with Dave Cotton also.
Oh, you say this one?
Well, not this, but myself. I can relate to him so far because my wife was my best friend also.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And I think, you know, and it is sweet. I mean, and you know, that's the thing. When do you tell, or if you're going to tell your wife? And again, we've talked about this in past episodes. What, you know, how do you get there? What gets you there? What helps you? You know, and again, mine was just, you know, she just blurted it out as a joke. And I said, she goes, what are you, gay? And I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was crazy.
Well, the rest of us did.
Yes. Right. But I think, you know, and this is why we do this, because I think we like to share our stories with everyone. So you could either relate, or you could either, you know, maybe use this as a template, or some things as a template. But this is really sad. I mean, this is the same gentleman. And I want to finish this because I think, you know, we all have fear of what's going to happen and what can happen. And I have to tell you, everybody that I came out to, I had always just loved it. They loved it. They showed love. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to be pissed or whatever. I did. Wait a minute. So I was in Dallas and I came out. I ran into a guy from high school, from my high school.
Right.
He was a junior when I was a senior. And nice guy. We talked and everything. And he goes, you're married? What's going on? I go, no, well, I'm not married anymore, but I'm not officially divorced. And I want to get into that later. Not today, but some other time. And I will be getting there. I will be getting divorced. But I said, he goes, so are you dating a woman now? Or who are you dating now? What's her name? Or something like that. I go, well, it's not a her. He goes, what? I go, yeah, I came out. Shit, right? It's my new girl or my new boyfriend. Anyway, I told him I was gay. And you know what? He had a look on his face that he didn't like what he heard.
Oh,
that was the first, yes, that was the first time. And believe me, I've come out to hundreds of people. But that was the first time that he kind of like, oh, it was kind of like, oh.
You were the cooties kid.
I was the what?
Cooties. You had the cooties.
Exactly. Yes, I felt that. I felt that I had the cooties. But you know what? I fucking stood up strong. I stood up strong, and it's like, okay, it's not for you, and that's cool. And you know what? And that's how I felt. I didn't feel ashamed. I felt empowered. And you know what? Not everyone is going to like it. Not everyone. And that's life in general. People aren't just going to fucking like you for being gay. They're just going to like you because maybe you're a dick or maybe you're not, but they're not.
Maybe you have a dick.
Or maybe you have a dick, but people aren't going to like us for whatever reason, not just for being gay. But I tell you, I had to share this with you. I felt just so empowered that, he didn't hug me. Oh my God. I didn't get that. And you know what? You're not going to get that from some people. Maybe if you've come out and it's all been great, but up to this point, this was the first time.
Okay. Well, we've had so many opportunities to tell people we're gay at this point. I mean, we've both been out for 5+ years.
Yeah. But it makes it so much easier. However, even though, kind of like he smelt a fart when I told him, he wants me to come and speak. He's a coach for real estate agents.
Okay.
And he wanted me to come and speak because, I'm so successful.
Yes.
And he goes, you're such a successful, would you come and speak to my group? He has a mastermind group of like 40 agents. So I'm going to go talk to him. So even though he wasn't really happy, but he still wanted to do business with me.
Very nice.
So, there we go. I wanted to share that because maybe you're going through, but let's jump back to this email that I think is really, this is heavy. But this is heavy, and I feel really sorry for this guy. But let me finish this. So he said, she was my one and only, and that's so sweet. He goes, a lot has happened in the last year. I finally came out to the first person in my life, my pastor, and then also to my Bible study leader. At first, I thought everything was going well, but things soured. There, when I found out that church leaders were telling others in the church and the community that I was living the gay lifestyle, which to them make the most vile of abominations. That gossip got back to my family, and they shunned me from family gatherings. I recently started therapy for religious trauma and complex PTSD. I am still trying to figure out my new life, but it is so isolating to it is so isolating to lose what I thought were real relationships that cared about me. I am trying to figure out how to, okay, well, that was it. I think that was the best thing, but I feel so sorry for this guy.
Dude, that is horrible.
Well, it is. It's the gossip. It's the gossip, especially in church. I mean, that's the thing. If he's not welcome there, should he stay there?
Absolutely not. Why would you want to be somewhere where you're not accepted and wanted and where people talk about you?
Yeah.
That's horrible. First of all, I think there's so many men that, and maybe women, that can relate to this because you have this faith you've been brought up in,
Yeah.
that you have this deep foundation in. You discover a new side to yourself, and it is unacceptable to the religious organization that you have been a part of for however many years.
And it's your community. It was a community.
That they gossiped about him.
Well, listen, I mean, and
outed him to his own family.
Well, outed him to his own family because, and that was the whole thing. When I came out to my mom, I did not tell my mom, and this was my therapist. She's going to be on in the coming weeks for our podcast. But she said something that really helped me cope with it. She said, she goes, don't control your mom when you tell her, you're coming out. If she wants to tell somebody, let her tell them.
Yes.
Because you take the power back. You take the power back because I knew my mom. I go, Mom, if you want to talk to anybody, go ahead. That's fine. But my sister, one of my sisters, who I don't even speak to, she had to use it. She found out and she just started fucking telling everybody because the one thing is she needs to feel important. She needs to feel like, oh, I got gossip. And some people thrive on that shit.
She needed the attention.
Fuck yeah, she needed the attention. You're absolutely right. She needed the attention of because she's so fucking insecure and she needed that ammunition to shock people because she wanted, hey, guess what? John's gay, So, and guess what? I'm okay with that. She needs that. And so I hope that this gentleman can see that it doesn't matter, it got back. And of course, I'm not trying to downplay, his shock because it hurts. It hurts. But if there's a way that you can protect yourself by, I think for me, allowing whoever wants to talk about me, talk. And there's a saying, I forgot where it came from, but if people are talking about you, let them go ahead and talk about you because they're leaving someone else alone.
Yes.
And so, I hope he is getting the help that he needs, but it's really when you give people the power like that, then you lose.
Yes. Well, you're not giving them the power because you're releasing something that you are completely comfortable with.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you're not going to tell people if you're not comfortable with it. Right. You're not going to tell them because you don't want people to hold stuff.
Right. And I didn't set myself up because I knew once I told my mom, I said, Mom, and you can go ahead and tell anybody you want. Because if you restrict somebody, say, please don't tell anybody. Yes. Well, you can do that, especially if you're taking baby steps of coming out. But there's going to be that point in time that you can't control other people and what they say. Because if you're just going to wear yourself out.
Here's how I... because people will share something with me and it doesn't have to be about coming out. Mm-hmm. People have shared stuff with me before, personal stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not my story to tell.
Right.
I am a person that is listening to what you have to say, what you want to share.
Yeah.
But you telling me that you're gay is mm-hmm. not my story to share. That's
right.
yours.
Right.
So, there's people out there that are going to run with it and there's people out there that are going to be respectful.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, people need that. They need that attention to bring in gossip, and it's going to happen.
Well, we had a powerful letter that someone had written into us a couple weeks ago that mm-hmm. found our podcast. He had typed that his hands were literally shaking as he was writing the email to us.
Yeah.
He was closeted. He was married with kids, living in another state, and had no idea what he was going to do, how he was going to come out. And I asked him if we could read that letter on our podcast, and we did. Mm-hmm. And he wrote into us, and he's like, hearing it said seems to hit so much harder than when I built the courage to type it.
Wait, repeat that.
Okay, so we read his letter on a mm-hmm. podcast mm-hmm. maybe a month about him finding our podcast and whatever. He heard the episode in which we read his letter.
Okay.
And he said, hearing it seemed to hit so much harder than when he typed it to us. So when we read his letter on our podcast, it hit him really hard.
Mm-hmm.
He, about 2 weeks after that, came out to his wife. So he went from 100% being in the closet a month ago,
right,
to hearing our podcast and finding out he was not alone in this universe, and came out to his wife.
Do you think it's because I have a sexy voice that maybe that was why he was able to understand it so much better?
Exactly.
So much better.
Smoldering, sultry voice. Yes.
Hey, that's awesome, though. See, that's a great,
So that's number 3.
Maybe we should have a bell. We should have a bell.
We're going to do a chalkboard back here. I've had 3 people come out to us since we started this podcast.
That's great.
Yeah.
And look, again, we started this podcast for focus on gay men that were married, but if you're listening to this and you're not married, or you don't have kids, or you're just gay in your story, I think this all can just help. I think it just helps whoever.
100%.
If you're a woman, a young lady, I'm hoping we're bringing love, but I hope we're just bringing some peace too, and maybe some advice. But again, we're not doctors. This is just, we're real people going through our own shit that hopefully we can throw some of it at, excuse me, but hopefully we can, pass that on, and then you can use it however you want.
And not just gay parents, but I think that this may be something that younger generation is listening to also. I struggle. Had I been listening to a podcast in my teens and early 20s, I would have a completely different outlook and perspective of all this, because again, I thought I was all alone. I thought I was going to outgrow my feelings toward other men.
Right.
I thought I was naive. I thought, again, you get a girlfriend, you get engaged, you get married, you have kids, and it goes away. It doesn't.
Well, I think this younger generation, it is more accepting. I see that, with coming out to my children, it was no big deal. It was no big deal. And I think that is so much progress that our community and our older gay and lesbians really led the way to.
Yes.
I mean, we are here because of so many people that did things that were not popular, and some of them were killed because of this. Some of them were beaten. Some of them just abused. And, we have to play, but we have to appreciate that. And I know we do. But how great is it that they did that? We're doing this.
We're paying it forward.
And we're paying it forward to help other people as well. But the other thing, which is great, is that younger generation it's already there. A lot of them, are feeling good to be whoever they want to be.
My younger son, or my older son, I've shared this before, he is who he is. He's out. He doesn't label himself. He's fluid. He's gay. He's
fluid.
He did not need to have a coming out. I had a coming out. You had a coming out.
Right.
This has been who he is since he was a teenager.
Right.
So, yes.
That's great.
I'm gonna switch gears on you for a minute.
You're gonna swish?
No.
You're gonna swish gears?
Setting up all our equipment earlier, and we forgot to put our D&Ds on our phones. And as we're setting up our stuff, my grinder is going off and his scruff is going off.
Wait a minute, scruff? What? What is that?
Your scruff.
What's scruff?
Scruff is the same thing as grinder.
What's grinder?
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking about, people. I have no idea. What is grinder? Is that a dance?
Could be. It could be.
Yeah, there's a new thing. It says,
yeah.
That's it.
That is so funny. That was one big ass moan. Yes. And while we're moving forward, I want to give a shout out to Jim Kennedy for being our first guest.
And Jim, thank you, Jim.
Unfortunately,
or Jimmy. Didn't I call him Jimmy?
Did. Unfortunately, we had some sound issues, so we got some help in fixing episode number 1.
And who helped us? That was your
Bob Guest and Dave Cotton from out.
Let's shout out to those guys. Thank you. Tell them what happened.
So much.
Tell them what you did. What
10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I said, "Oh, the sound is so bad." And Bob actually took the recordings and he was able to pull Jim's audio out,
and then
boost it, and then merge it back together. It took him like 4 hours. So thank you so much, and he did that.
That's great. And guys, that was our first guest, and so me and Brian here, we banter back and forth, but we want to bring guests on, and again, we're open. We'll bring anybody on, right? But this was our first one, so you have to work through things.
Yes,
thank you for doing that.
But so I wrote something because this is something I wanted to talk about in gratitude. I have a hard time receiving from other people. When people offer to do things for me, I have a really hard time accepting. So I was out with a friend. Yeah. I was out with a friend. The bill came, it was $100. And I put my credit card down and I said, "It's on me." And my friend's like, no. Let's split it 50-50. I'm like, no. $100. I paid it. We're walking out of the restaurant and my friend is trying to stuff 2 20s and a 10 in my pocket. And I'm like, no, keep it. It's on me. Mm-hmm. Stuffs it in my pocket. We're walking to the car. At some point in time, I pulled my phone out, get in the car, drive home, get home, go to reach in my pocket, get $50, and it was gone. And I was like, oh my God, here I'm always wanting, you always want to be receptive to receiving. You want to receive goodness. You want to receive abundance.
Sure.
You want to receive all this stuff. And someone was offering something to me and I was pushing them away.
Right.
And after losing that $50, I thought, you know what? From now on, if I want to be like a magnet towards goodness,
right,
and I want to be receptive to receiving whatever it is you want to receive, I cannot be acting that way. And it was a great lesson for me. So when Bob said, "Hey, listen, I'm willing to help you guys fix it," my first thought was, no.
Oh, but I'm sorry. Can we go back to the $50?
Yeah. Did you find it?
No. Did you tell your friend you lost it? If he could,
did.
And did you say, "Can you send me another 50? Just give me another 50."
How about you pay for the dinner tonight?
Yeah, but you know what? This is the way I look at that. Whoever found it needed it. Me too. I think
it was a bummer. $50 to me is a lot.
It is a lot of money. No, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I shouldn't have been so weird about someone offering something.
And not accepting.
Yeah. So that's a lesson for every listener. If you want to receive wealth in your life, love in your life, happiness in your life, you can't be pushing shit away when it comes to you in forms that you're not expecting it. Like you want someone, you want to win the lottery, you want this, you want that. Right. Well, if you keep pushing shit away, how open?
Well, this is my uncle. He used to say this when we were eating bacon at the table in the morning. This is in Texas. He was a great guy, Pat. Uncle Pat. He called me Fluffy because I had hair back then and it was really fluffy. And there was one piece of bacon left. And I'm like, should I, he goes, "Go on, boy. Take that piece of bacon. If you're bashful, you'll end up with nothing." So if you're bashful, you'll end up with nothing. That's what I'm doing. And there you go. But shout out. This guy did our
guest.
Thank you for doing that.
Episode 1 with Jim. I don't know that we're going to get episode 2 fixed. There's just too much of a...
But that's what we're doing. We're learning the technical things about this. And when you're becoming a guest, we need to make sure that you have the right mic so we can hear you.
Yes. That lesson learned. That's a lesson for us.
Just learning.
Yes. And, all of our people that are reaching out to us, again, if you want to send us messages through cominginsideout at gmail.com.
Yep.
We get a lot of comments, not a lot. We get messages through YouTube. A lot of people are reaching out to our Facebook page, which is, this is brand new. This was birthed from absolutely nothing. I think we have like 80 members on our Facebook page.
Really?
Too. So
but we started this when? When did we start?
End of May.
So we started this in May. Yeah. Wow.
6,000 listeners.
6,000 guys. thank you.
All
Well,
right. Are we good with this episode?
I think we're good with this episode.
Thank you guys so much for joining.
Listeners, are you good with this episode?
And next episode, we're going to read we've gotten a bunch of mail that we have not had a chance to get to. So
Right.
we're going to.
And thank you, whoever sent the soap to us. That was very sweet.
Yes.
That was very sweet. Now send me a wash rag so I can.
Wash rags. You need a loofah for
I need
your
a loofah.
baby.
I mean, we got the soap now, so and I'll drop it.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. Take care.